Now, last week we asked you guys to join us on a new adventure in anime,
Yeah.
right? With Tokyo Ghoul. Hopefully, you're able to start watching. If you weren't, it's okay, right? You still have time. But for to forewarn you, there will be spoilers.
Mad spoilers.
Okay, will be spoilers about what we're going to be talking about. We were able to get a little more than halfway through the show,
Yeah.
right? Which was good. And to kind of give you a real quick rundown of what I think, or I think what we think, but what I think the show is or how it's what I've seen so far is it's a story or it's a time where you have ghouls, which essentially are I would say are like a demon of some sort.
Yeah, they're demons, they're monsters.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're monsters. You have humans that are living in society together, and then you have good monsters or good ghouls and bad ghouls,
Yeah.
and really bad ones. And then you have obviously the humans who always think that they're the victim
Mm.
to something that these ghouls were born with. Some of these ghouls were indeed born with needing
Yeah.
needing the ability to eat flesh in order to survive. And there's this the main character, Ken,
Kaneki.
Kaneki, ends up having catching some feels for a girl, and name is Riz.
It's Rize.
Rize, right?
Yeah.
So Rize ends up catching feelings for this girl that he sees in the coffee shop. It goes to walk her home. Turns out she's a ghoul and a really bad one at that. And something happens, and he ends up needing some replacement parts in his body and gets it from her body, and he becomes half ghoul, which is crazy to think because he can't enjoy the things in life that he used to, such as eating, right? And we
Yeah.
all know how I like to eat, or for sure you like to eat.
Yeah.
But he meets some cool people along the way, right? He meets Yomo, which is the silent type. He's like the silent big brother, right? And then he also meets what's her name? Uh, Toka.
You got it. Yeah, Toka.
Toka,
Yeah,
right?
Toka.
Sorry, guys, I'm bad with names. So he meets Toka, and he becomes acquaintances with them at first,
Mhm.
and then slowly they start to develop a little better relationship with them. And then they start gaining abilities or powers, or in this place, Kanuge or Kangu.
Kaneki. Kaneki.
No. The power. What's the power called again?
Oh, Kagune.
Kagune,
Yeah.
that's the word, right? Kagune. So Kagune is their special ability that once they digest flesh, they gain this power. They already have this latent power in them,
Mhm.
and they're able to
And
use
the
that.
intensity is based on their
How much
consumption
their
of, yeah,
consumption, right?
exactly.
So, did I miss anything about what the story is mainly about?
No, I mean, yeah, like you hit all the key points. Like for me watching this one, it was very, man, like the layers of it, like the intensity of some of these scenarios, because like you have ghouls
Mhm.
that they're considered monsters, they're considered monsters, but not all of them want to be monsters,
Yep. Mhm.
but you have the ones that embrace the monstrosity that they
They are.
are,
Mhm.
and they are the like that's so we're I it's conflicting as a watching the story envelop.
Mhm.
It's like you can't help but to see the comparisons with humanity, right? Because they're in humanity, we have people that are good, we have people that are bad, and we have people that are monsters.
Yep.
You
Mhm.
can be a good person, and you can be a good person that does bad things, and then you could just be a complete monster.
Mhm.
And that's where they have the parallel
Yep.
with the ghouls, because everybody just sees them as monsters off the bat, like off the rip. They're just monsters. They're just out to kill for no reason
Yep.
other than their own gain.
Mhm.
But then you get the window into what those lives are of
Yep.
the ghouls.
Yep.
You get the insight, and like mad spoilers, but the insight of what happens with Hinami and her mom, like,
Oh.
so they're on the run, like they're on the run, and they're trying to hide away, and the manager being, the one who kind of has, like, he's kind of like the father figure for all of these, like, kind of rogue stray ghouls
Yep.
that kind of come into his spectrum, and he brings them in, and he kind of has a soft spot for ghouls that don't want to eat humans. They don't want to be bad. Like they're just trying to survive, right?
Yep.
So he brings them all in, keeps them in this place, and then you have this whole dynamic of a balance. Like how can you be or need to have this hunger? Like the ghouls have to feed to survive. They find ways to keep themselves alive by not feeding.
Yep.
But then you have, they're gonna come in contact with ghouls that are just fucking evil. They're evil as fuck.
Yep.
Because they feed all the time. They're constantly just eating humans. They're just doing whatever the fuck they want to do.
Yep.
So they're strong as fuck. So they're that strong, and these other ghouls that are trying not to be these like murderous psychos. They don't have the same strength, but they still can battle them.
It's for you Twilight fans out there, it's like the Cullens versus the regular vampires, right? So the vampires that are super strong from eating humans and taking and human blood versus the Cullens, which are they go hunting for deer or animals to be able to take their blood. Similar concept, I should say. But what are some of your favorite parts, right? One of mine was when Kinnicky
Yeah.
first is his friend's about to get smashed, right? And I mean like his head's about to get bashed in
Oh yeah.
by Nishiro, I believe his name is.
Yeah.
Nishiro. And when he's fighting him, he's getting his butt kicked, right? And then he sees his friend about to die, and this dude's latent ability, right? Kagune
Yeah,
comes out.
Kagune,
Yeah, comes out and he starts marking him, putting holes in him everywhere. It's very brutal. So much so that he hits him basically out of play. And it's like his head. Have you ever got your head stuck between two bars? Because it's pretty rough, like to get out. And his head got stuck, but it wasn't just stuck on the side where you could sit down and you're there. It's on the other side where you're dangling off the bridge.
He's hanging and like with holes in his body.
Oh man, that dude got beat up.
Yeah,
and now they're cool, which we'll talk about later. But now they're cool, man. Like, what's one of your other favorite parts?
Like, I gotta say, my favorite part is when finally Toka, like, she shows up to like they're showing up for a previous enemy, right?
Yes.
So homeboy, you just talked about Nishiro.
Yes.
Yeah, so they show up for him because his girl gets kidnapped.
Yes.
And again, mad spoilers. But his girl gets kidnapped, but they don't want it. They don't want this shit to happen.
Mm-hmm.
And Susukiyama, which is he's a fucking psychopath.
Yeah, shoot.
He's one of those like evil ghouls, like straight evil. And they call him gourmets. And the reason why they call him gourmets is because they treat their like consumption of human flesh. They treat it like it's we got to have this.
It's like a delicacy,
like a 4-course meal, and like they're just bad.
And it's humans and ghouls. They eat both.
No, yeah,
the same. That's
exactly.
Crazy.
So they show up to save this girl, right? And when they show up, like they start throwing down at first, and Toka shows up and she's trying to fight Susukiyama. Like she's trying to fight him, and he's just too strong because he's just been consuming flesh, consuming it. He's just strong as fuck, and he's so confident. And right now she's my favorite character because she's just so strong in herself.
Yep.
She's very closed off. She's not like, you can't connect with her like emotionally, but you appreciate her strength. And then, they start getting pulled back. But like what I loved about this sequence was that she showed up to fight. Mm-hmm. She lost essentially, mm-hmm. the first little round, a little bout, she lost. She was gonna lose, and it was like, this shit's done. And Kaneki's like, you know what? Like you're weak because you need to consume flesh. So he lends her his flesh to be able to give her power. And as soon as she gets that power, like she murks
Oh,
this dude. Oh, she murks him, dog. She murks him. Like it wasn't even close. Like
Mhm.
it wasn't close because he even asked her, like, at full strength, who's better? And she's like, well, it was even the last time we fought. And he's like, well, let's do it.
I got my faith in you.
Risk it to get the biscuit.
Yes, sir.
And she murks this dude and she doesn't give him an opportunity. This dude is a monologue guy. So he wants to
Yes.
be the showman and he wants to be like, oh, I'm gonna win.
And mind you guys, he wants Kaneki so bad for himself. Like
Yeah, he just wants to devour him. Like he wants to eat him. And it's I
that was
if
a good part.
if y'all aren't watching it yet, and if you stood for the spoilers, like I'm sorry, that's your fault. But but no, like straight up, it's good. It's a good show. It was a little bit of slow burn, like it got into the kind of the intense parts a
Yeah.
little bit later. But man, there like
Yeah, I mean, but here's what I would say is that it was there's a very similar start to like Chainsaw Man. Like we're not super deep into the first season, and we're already getting to the thickness of it. It
yeah.
happened maybe 2 episodes ago, which was episode 5, and it started off by somebody getting killed, which is essentially the way Chainsaw Man happened, right? Well, when he fucking got ate up by the zombie or dismantled by the zombies,
Yeah.
and then so very similar concept put back together, right? Similar to it.
Yeah.
But overall, man, like I'm super. It's way better than I anticipated, but way worse as far as like I didn't expect some of this dark, like
bro.
some of the dark stuff. And
Oh shit.
and that's my next part is Hinami, right?
Yeah.
She.
Oh my god. Poor girl.
So you guys will find out if you guys have been watching or if you've already seen it. But if you haven't watched it again, spoilers coming up ahead. There's a doctor that goes around and helps ghouls get better, but he's also a scientist and he can make, for all intents and purposes, scientific tools, right? It's the tools. So he tells his family to go in hiding while he goes out and helps these ghouls, or sometimes he's forced to help them, right? In this case, he's forced to help one of the worst ones from a different, basically city or like a ward of some sort, right? Ward 14. Yeah. This is Jason. And he goes to help him and then gets killed or gets hurt in the process that's when he runs into the doves.
Yeah.
Right. That's when he runs into the doves, right? And the doves are hunters. They essentially hunt under the radar, right? Mm-hmm. They hunt under the radar. They're not supposed to be killing ghouls, but they're going to go about it because the humans that are afraid of ghouls, who's going to say, hey, protect the ghouls, right? Does that make sense? So runs into them. These doves are no match for Jason, right?
Oh yeah.
And then that leads them to fall back to Hinami's dad.
Yeah.
And he comes out with this awesome attack, but then gets instantly killed. And then, at this point, the daughter, Hinami, and the wife are wanting to see the husband so bad, and her dad and her husband so bad, but they don't know where he is at this point. And then they're walking down the street, and Hinami has a good sense of smell, right?
Yeah.
When she has that good sense of smell, she smells her dad, and she goes rushing, with her mom chasing her. Come to find out that the doves are luring her in.
Yeah.
And when the doves are attacking them, asking them to tell them some more info, he pulls out a blade, and he pulls out a weapon, and that weapon is none other than her dad's special ability, right? His Kanuki.
Kanuki, my bad.
Yeah. So, which is crazy, and then kills the mom. Luckily, the daughter got away, and luckily, our main how do you say his name again? Kaneki. Sorry, guys. Kaneki comes back and saves her from that vision.
Yeah.
But nevertheless, it then takes a twist for the worst after that, right?
It's like that episode for me, that whole sequence of events was a big reveal about the lengths that the doves are willing to go to, and maybe not all, but at least the one dude that to me is like, yeah, fuck that guy. He's like Mato and Amon.
They're the
They're
doves.
yeah, they're the Doves. They're a detective group. It's main detective, lead detective, and then his partner. Right, Amon's the partner.
Uh-huh.
Mato is the lead. He's the veteran, and that's another thing. Is like I don't know. They don't have a backstory on him. I don't know what he's been through, what he's seen. They kind of allude to some of it.
Yeah.
But man, this dude goes through the most extreme lengths. And that reveal of the weapons that the doves use is basically the ghouls' powers against them.
Yep.
They are able to, however they do it, but they harness, their kagune and they turn them into their own weapons.
Yep.
And he used this woman's husband's Kagune against her to kill her.
Yes.
And when she sees it, immediately recognizes it, and just the realization of like she's realizing like my husband's dead. You took his Kagune, and she's can't do anything.
Yeah.
The last thing she does with her Kagune is defend her daughter.
Tell her to run.
Like is able to get her out of there. Get her to be able to escape. And like she's not an aggressive ghoul, she's not a fighter, but her Kagune is powerful. And when you see it, it's like, oh shit.
Well, it's like a sword and shield combo.
Yeah,
Right. The dad being the sword, the dad's Kagune being the sword, and the mom's being a
exactly.
shield, right?
Yeah.
For their daughter, and he kills her, right?
Yeah, and that's the what's is the I guess the one of the worst parts about it. It's all bad. It's all bad. The worst parts about it is that she runs into Keneki. This is Hinama, the little girl. She runs into him and she's like, "Well, like help me." And he tries, he wants to, but he can't. He doesn't even know how to control his Kagune, like he can't, like he doesn't know, or Kagune, he doesn't know how to control it yet. He doesn't have that I guess aggressive nature, you can say.
Mhm.
And he ends up taking her back, and he has to protect her from at least just the sight of what happened.
Mhm.
And then at the point we're at now, when you see what Mato does with the mother, and
Well, she gets lured out, right? The daughter gets lured out
again in the same
with
way,
the scent, right?
with the scent, she smells out, because the same way that they used her father's like scent, and she smells it, and she's like, I smell him. Like she's a kid, like she gets excited and she wants to go. And in that instance where she's just like, I want to see my dad, I want to see my dad, she smells them, she just takes off, and then they trap him. They do the exact same thing in this instance. And at this point, she's in grief. Like she knows that her mother's gone. She knows that her father's gone, but they use the scent of her mother to lure her into this trap.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I mean, in grief, she falls for it. She doesn't know any better. She falls for it. And when the rest of the little, like the family that they got there, when it's Kaneki and Toka and Yomo and like they realize like she's gone, and
We gotta go get her.
they're like, we got to go find her. They go, and then they end up in a fight. They end up in a fight.
Right?
Yeah, they end up in a fight with Mato. Amon tries to show up, and and they show you like these real differences in not only the ghouls but the humans.
Yep.
Because with the humans and the detectives, and what their job is to do, right? I feel like Mato went beyond a job for him, and it became a pleasure to eliminate ghouls. Like he just wants to see them suffer. And again, they might show his backstory later. They haven't yet, but maybe he has some, like, he has some thorn against him. Like they hurt someone he loved, and that's why he's so fucking psychotic. He's crazy.
And that's when Toka starts like saying, "Why are you hunting us for no reason?"
Mm-hmm.
Right? We're just trying to survive here. I understand there's bad ones out there, but there's bad humans too. And then on the flip side of the coin, right? You have
and it's parallel. It's happening
it's
at the same time.
like Amado is Amado, right?
No, Amon.
I'm sorry. Ahmad and Kaneki going at it, and Kaneki's trying to show him that not all ghouls are bad because Ahmad thinks that they are.
Yeah.
You know, he doesn't know any different. Now, granted, we don't know his backstory, but I feel like there's something.
And well, like with Amon, I feel like he is like a man of duty, right? Like he feels like he has this duty to protect humans. Like he feels that ghouls, they're just overall bad. They're only out there to kill innocent people. And his duty is to go and protect innocent people from these ghouls, not realizing and the disconnection that even he doesn't see when they just orphaned a child. And his whole argument is like, what about all the orphans that
orphan humans?
The orphan humans that ghouls orphaned, but they're only picking a select group of these ghouls that were evil, that they were evil. And on the flip side, like how many of the ghouls have they orphaned by killing their parents because it's frame of reference, perspective, like that's the thing, is like the narrowed perspective that some of these detectives have. The I think to this point what I've seen is just this different perception of a reality based on a narrowed mindscape. And
or blinders that may be placed there by somebody who put them there, and it could be an entity, it could be a person, or it could be an organization.
And then there's just like to this point there's still like so many question marks. It's like the manager, like the manager, like who is he, why is he so empathetic, like why, like and even Kaneki kind of asked the question, because when he tells them like, why do you have this establishment where you just allow humans to come in and you serve humans knowing you're ghouls, and if they were to find out, like it could all go to shit. And his response is just like, like we need to study them, we need to like we have to learn how to mimic them. But he's like, well, I like humans,
I like
so he raises a question of like, well, why, like, does he, because was he one before and now he can't be? So he's like, look, like a window shopping perspective of something that he can't have. Or is it because is he harvesting them? Because
that's pretty dark.
He gives them the cubes. He gives them the cubes to tell them like, hey, I know you can't consume humans, right? So he gives them these cubes and says, if you put this in your coffee, it'll suppress the hunger.
Said what's in it? He says, you don't.
Yeah, it's better you don't know. Yeah. So that makes me think like, what is going on there? Because it's a very mysterious character, right? Yeah. All the other ghouls are pretty upfront. You already know like that person is, or that ghoul is up to some shit. And like Tsukiyama, like by far is probably the most psychotic. By far. They had the parallels. Like Tsukiyama and Mado are the ghoul version and the human version of the same person.
By far, man. Yeah. By far. And growing towards the Hinami favorite part of it, right, was at this point she gets lured out. And she goes to a bag and she finds,
oh my God, bro, that's right. That broke my heart, and it made me like, it makes you hate Mado. It makes you hate Mado. And it's just like that. Like I already was like, this guy's like, he's fucked up. Like he's just kind of unhinged.
I mean, for her to find her mother's remains,
that part was a lot, because a child in grief, he not only did he willfully and enjoyably killed her parents, but still used her parents in two different instances to lure this child out, and with no remorse at all. That hit me so hard. And yeah, it was one of those moments where I'm just like, ooh, this is different. It's different.
And for some of you guys watching JJK, it's like Mahito, which you'll learn about here shortly. But very similar feeling towards it. And he had no remorse to say, hey, I killed your parents. You want to see them again? And pulls out the Kagunes. right? The shield and the sword.
Hmm.
And has Toka up on the wall on the fences, has her in the grass when all of a sudden Mato misses an arm. And I don't know if you thought this, but I thought that it was
Kaneki, yeah.
Kaneki who came through and like made it there in time because he was going through his transition at the time too. And nope, it was Hinami. She ended up having the powers of both of her parents.
Yeah, man. And I was in my mind, I'm like, if like what I've seen from like Kaneki, because in a sense, in like the ghoul world, he's a baby.
Yep.
He doesn't understand what he can do, what he's capable of, right? And the only time his power comes out is when he's really like pushed against the ropes. Either he's close to death or he has to defend somebody that he really cares about and he has no other option, right?
Yep.
And seeing these events transpire, I'm just like this little girl was pushed so far. She is still a ghoul. She has powers in her. You know, like it had to manifest somehow. I didn't expect it to be and what's crazy is like, so the visuals of her mother's Kagune, and her father's Kagune is like you say, sword and shield, but her mother's is like a butterfly. It's like a moth, like it's very wide and it's a beautiful thing. Like if you see it, it looks very beautiful visually, you know? And she has both. And you don't see it at first. It happens, and then as soon as you see it, you're like,
kill that fool!
oh my God. Like she was able to get her own revenge, like not even having the intent, right?
Yep.
But because pushed to that limit, like you took so much from me, and you're like not, and it wasn't even just that because she was already broken down, but because she didn't want to see Toka like she didn't want to see Toka killed. She already lost her mother, her father. She didn't want to see a friend, somebody that's cared for her. She didn't want to lose anybody else. And she just responded. And it was in such a crazy way where her body was immobile. Every time you see all the other ghouls fight, they're moving and they're dodging and they're doing all these crazy attacks. She's just stationary, and her Kagune is doing everything
for her.
And I was like, that was something that was very satisfying for me because of how much I was like, fucking Mato is a piece of shit.
Yeah. And for me, what was even crazier was that even though she cut off his arm, it hurt him to the point where he became, I wouldn't say unusable, but
pretty much crippled,
right?
Yeah.
Toka said, finish him. And she said, no, I'm not doing this for revenge. I want to see my parents. Like, I'm not doing this for that reason. And for Toka to hear that, she had just been told that people should feel sorry for those, have pity for those who have revenge. And for her to hear that from a kid.
Yeah.
Granted, Toka's a kid too. Like she's a teenager, but this is a kid.
Yeah.
And for her to have the maturity to say that and then Toka hear it was just right.
Yeah. And the whole, a lot of the reason why the events transpired is like Toka went out for revenge. She went out and she tried to attack these doves, you know, and she went out there, and immediately when she does it, it's like you want to understand, but it's also like, that's a stupid move to go on your own. And, you know,
and knowing what these guys could do.
Well, yeah. Like, and like I say, Toka's like my favorite character to this point because she has this like nonchalant kind of attitude, but in a fight, like she will fuck shit up. And I love that. I love that in the character that's just like I don't need to show
from AOT.
Yeah. So like where they're so like, I don't want to fight all the time, but when the fight happens, like best believe like you're not gonna enjoy the results.
These hands are rated E for everyone, dog.
T for todos.
I love it.
Yeah, bro.
I love it. Well, hey man, I gotta say, so far I'm hooked.
Yeah,
I'm hooked into this.
It took a minute.
Yeah,
but it got to it's in the juicy bits.
Yep. So tune in next week. right, to see how the rest of season one shapes up,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Rest of season one shapes up. And I'm excited, man. We still got 2.5 more seasons of the show to
Yeah.
watch.
That's cool.
And we shot ourselves in the foot earlier today. We were trying to look up names and things of that nature, and we saw some pictures we probably shouldn't have about the
Yeah,
show.
and it's all it takes. It's like when you get hooked on a show, like especially one like this, where it's like, what I love about anime is that it's the evolution, right? So
Yes.
a character like, and it's the same thing I love, but I hate about it is like the main character. They always make him look like useless, like kind of like they can't do anything, and they're like,
Hmm.
oh, I don't know what to do, I don't know how to handle this situation, whatever. But then the series progresses, and then they become what you want them to be, which is part of the progression. But it's just so frustrating seeing the
Yes.
characters be
Yes.
like, oh, like I want to do this but I can't, and then they get to this point. So now you're starting to see Kaneki get to that point. Like he's getting to the point where he's tired of being on the sideline. He's tired of being that weakling. Granted, he's not close to being able to be on the level of either Toka or Yomu or any of the ghouls that he's come into contact with. The only reason is just like it's out of pure like desperation. But now I feel like we're gonna start seeing the arc where he's realizing his power,
Oh yeah.
realizing it, and that's the part that I love seeing. And
Yes.
that's what happens when you see certain images and you're like, wait, this character, why do they look like this right now? Like what happened? And it's like that, it's an evolution
Yes.
of the character. And granted, you don't know the whole storyline, but when you see it, you just get these like, oh
How'd
man,
that
like,
happen? I gotta watch
yeah,
this. Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
So it's gonna be
Character development is big on some of the animes that I watch.
for
However, in
sure.
some cases, like power development in the realm of Dragon Ball is really that's all important. You just want to see what's the next big power up. But you watch Naruto, you watch AOT, you watch Tokyo Ghoul, Demon Slayer,
Mm.
Jujutsu Kaisen is the character development and how they develop, and I think that's a huge part of it. And
Oh,
I
for
read a lot of
sure.
the mangas to the animes that I watch, and it's always ahead, right? Always
Oh yeah,
ahead,
yeah,
right?
yeah. Way
So
ahead.
just because I know it's going to happen, just because I know how it happens, doesn't mean I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, and that's the thing is like the visuals of the anime, like the visuals of seeing, the fight scenes and seeing how the things develop, and there's always the little changes they make, when it's the actual anime, and then compared to the manga, like the mangas will show you the glimpses and they'll show you the conversations, but in the animes it's a little more in depth. It's a little more, yeah, that this is probably the first one that has me hooked in a different way where
Yes.
I like the fight scenes and I like the battles and everything, but man, some of like the stories among the characters, and like I want to know more about this character and that character, and I want to know more about Toka. Like, why is she so cold? Why is she so reserved? There's that moment where she saves is it
Bushido.
Nishiro, she saves his girl, right? And
Hmm.
she tells him straight up, and it's something she told Kaneki earlier, like, you can't let your friend know that you're a ghoul, and because if you do, I have to kill him. And to him, he's like, what the fuck? For her, it's like a non-negotiable. Like she's like, we can't let anybody know what we are like
Hmm.
at any circumstance, because
Yep.
then we have to we have to off them, and
They
that's
can
it,
they can they can make it worse by knowing it.
yeah, and it's a very black and white thing for her. And then she comes into contact with this girl, Kimmy, and she's like, I'm gonna kill her, and she's about to do it. And then this girl, Kimmy, tells her, like, she sees her full form, she sees like what she is as a ghoul.
With Kagune, yeah.
Yeah, and she's like that, like,
You're pretty.
pretty, and
Yeah.
like it fucks up Toka's mind. Like it fucks her up.
Hmm.
She doesn't know how to respond to it. Like she's always been looked at as a monster. She's known herself as a monster.
As ugly and
Yeah,
a monster.
exactly. And always have to be hiding and always have to be in this different kind of mind state.
Yes.
Hearing that, it ruins her world. She spares her, then it messes with her more. like she's wrestling with these, these different like conflicting ideologies. So like I want to see her backstory. I want to know what's going on with Yomo. Like this dude's just silent there chilling. He takes a fucking full ass boom, like dagger through the stomach from fucking from Kaneki, and he tells him like, hey, like
Chill out.
yeah, like relax, like you have a lot of potential, like you're gonna be sticking with me now, like I'm gonna show you, I'm gonna teach you. And he's like the full ass blade, like in his stomach, and he's just looking at him like, no, yeah, like relax, like eat this, we're cool. And I'm just like,
I would have peeped on the people's elbow like, bah!
well, like for me, I can't wait till you see you see Yomo do some wow shit. He has to. He has to. It's gonna happen, right? Like you haven't seen to this point, you haven't seen his Kagune, like you haven't seen his full power, right? And my prediction, like moving forward, is that they're gonna come into some contact with this Jason guy, which is like this like big fucking ghoul that everybody's afraid of,
Mhm.
I think my prediction is that Yomo is gonna come to a point where Jason is gonna attack the little family they're creating, with who the manager has put in the coffee shop. Like
Yep.
it's gonna come to a point and Yomo's gonna have to be the one to defend everybody. And I don't know how that's gonna go.
Yeah.
I feel like he's gonna be the first loss that you see that's really like, damn, I hope not. But I just want to see that full throw down. Like I want to
Yeah.
see I want to see his full power.
I think very similar to where you're at. Well, I would add is I think Jason is leading a what's the right word for it? Like a revolt,
Like a rebellion
a
kind of thing.
rebellion type thing. I think he's going to come to them and he's going to ask them, join me or die.
Mm,
And I think that's when Yoma's going to come and say, no,
yeah.
we are not going with you. You guys take off. I'm going to handle this.
Yeah.
And then, we all know how some of these animes go, man.
Oh
So,
yeah, bro. And it's like I already like picture like Kaneki training with Yomo for all this time, and then Yomo goes and fights, and then Kaneki tries to like help, and then he gets his ass fucking knocked out of the fight and has to watch Yomo like go down, bro. That's like in my mind, that's how this shit might play out.
you need to watch Jujutsu Kaisen, bro. You need to watch it. But anyway, uh, please join us on the rest of season one.
man.
I can't wait to see it.
It's been cool so far, man. It's been dope.
Episode 4 in the books, right? In the books now.
Yeah.
Let us know your thoughts on how things are going.
Comments, let us know.
Yeah.
We
Make
wanna
sure
hear
you hit
from
that
everybody.
like, that subscribe button, so that way you get the latest episode that comes out. We're doing it pretty much weekly. And again, show some love, throw some comments in the chat, and until next time, right?
Yeah, man. Post Ultra out.
Pulse Ultra, baby. See you next time.